Sadhguru Jagi Vasudev is a realized master, mystic, and yogi. He has shown the way for people to attain to their natural joy and to live life with experience from one's own inner nature. His presence is filled with grace and compassion. Sadhguru's scientific approach towards spirituality and work towards the upliftment of humanity have received accolades worldwide. The words that come from him in intensity and utmost clarity, from his deep understanding and wisdom, can change the very core of the being. Belonging to no particular tradition, Sadhguru incorporates what is most valid for the modern person from the spiritual sciences. His work, an outpouring of his blissfulness, finds expression in the form of a ceaseless offering to help all beings. Available to all who are willing, Sadhguru's life is an invitation to the divine through individual transformation. Welcome to the silent revolution of self-realization.
My question is again in the world of the mind. I don't know if I'm strange, but I think most people are like that. We spend a lot of our energy in our life thinking about the other sex and sexuality and all that stuff. I would like to hear something about this.
Nothing strange about it. It's just that your intelligence has been hijacked by your hormones. It's not you, it is just compulsive behavior, isn't it? When you were a child, it didn't matter what reproductive organs a man or somebody carries, didn't matter to you. The moment the hormones started playing within you, now you can't think of the world beyond that. Your whole intelligence has been completely hijacked by your hormones. And you will see beyond a certain age, when this hormone, the play of hormones goes down, once again it doesn't matter and you look back and say, you can't believe you were the one who were doing all that. Body knows only one thing: survival, procreation. It doesn't know anything else, isn't it so? Does your body know anything else? So if you go by the way of the body, some pleasure may come to you. Not that it won't, nothing wrong with the body, it's just limited, that's all. Nothing wrong being limited, but it's not the ultimate, that's all. Is it anything wrong? Is it a crime to be limited? It's not a crime, nothing wrong about it, but you will always live an unfulfilled life, that's all. No matter what you have, how much you have, you will still live an unfulfilled life. Now you are thinking about the opposite sex all the time. Let's say tomorrow I'll grant you a boon. All the women in the world are after you. You will see, you will still live an unfulfilled life. Yes? You will still live an unfulfilled life. So definitely it's not going to get you beyond the bar. It will make you maybe a pleasant little bit of pleasure, a little bit of pain will happen. Nothing wrong at all with it. I'm not trying to make it dirty, make it something else. No, it is fine, it's perfectly fine. But you will live within the ambit of the body. If you live within the ambit of the body, body knows only survival and procreation, it doesn't know anything else. And body, every moment of your life, no matter where you think you're going, you think you went up the mountain, you came down the mountain, body doesn't know all that. Body is straight walking to the grave. Every moment, nowhere else. Isn't it so? You think you're going to many places. You think I've come to India, I'll go back to Lebanon, I went up the mountain, I came down the mountain. No such thing. Every step, body is only walking straight to the grave. Nowhere else but the grave. So, right now, because you're young, because of the play of hormones, you've forgotten that. Slowly, as time passes, it will become more and more apparent that it is walking towards the grave. If all that you have known is just the body, and anyway you're going to lose the whole of it, fear becomes just the way to live. Recently, I don't know, probably you didn't see the news or anything. 4 or 5 days ago, George Best died. You know George Best? You heard of him? He was one of the greatest footballers. He died. He died before the Holiness program? Oh, okay. I'm sorry. He died just before the Holiness program. I was just seeing a little bit of clippings on him. This guy, his name is Best. He was a great footballer. Very natural footballer, okay? And he went all out to live his life. The way they described him was, every film star, every popular film star or model or something else they said. Somebody else. Huh? Not celebrity. He had them on his arm at some time or the other. Sometimes he had all the three on his arm. But by the time he passed his 35, he's such a broken, miserable man. He's such a broken, miserable, frustrated man. At the age of 56 or 57, he died. Death is not the issue, but the way you live is the issue, isn't it? He lived a terrible life. He had everything at him because the way of the body. If you try to make the limited the unlimited, you will suffer. There is no other way. The body's ways are very limited. If you try to make it the everything, you will suffer like anything. So you don't make it all, you bring in a little bit of emotion, little bit of mind, little bit of society and try to manage it somehow. But it doesn't matter what you do. If you are sincere with your life, you will see you're still living an unfulfilled life, isn't it? So nothing wrong with the body, nothing wrong with the ways of the body. It is just very limited. It can only play that much role in your life. If you try to stretch it to all your life, you will suffer because you are trying to create falsehood. The truth of life is, body has to play only that much role in your life. Now you are trying to stretch it all over. You will definitely bring suffering to yourself. Suffering will come in a million different ways. People who think they are just perfect, nothing will ever happen to him, such people you will see after some time what will happen to them. Life has its ways to bend you and break you and knead you and grind you in a million different ways. In most unexpected ways it will do it to you. Yes? Have you seen it happening to people around you? So, nothing wrong with your hormones, but it's compulsive. Once you live a compulsive life, you're living the life of a slave, isn't it? Yes? Do you want to be a slave? Something within you never wants to be a slave, isn't it so? There is something within you which cannot be a slave. Whether you are a slave to something or somebody or whatever. But once you are a slave, unknowingly, slowly you will become a long face. When you were a child, you were like this, because there was not so much slavery. Slowly, as different kind of compulsions take over, without knowing why, everything is going on fine with your life. Your business is going fine, your family is good, you have good relationships, you are making money, everything. But slowly, face is becoming longer and longer. You're doing desperate acts to be happy. As people get richer and older, you will see they start doing more and more desperate things to be happy. Isn't it so? Yes? Huh? Oh, you have not seen the things they do on the planet. Forget about going to the moon. So, the more desperation comes because you're trying to make a small aspect of your life everything. It'll not work. And today especially, the culture is becoming like this, especially the Western cultures have made body into everything. Suffering is untold, please see, for no reason they're suffering. Everything is well. Physically, everything is well. You can't think of more arrangement physically. Everything is well arranged. Healthcare, insurance, cars, everybody's got everything to do, but people are suffering immensely, where almost every second, third person is on some kind of medication just to maintain mental balance. That's not joy. Yes? Where you have to take a tablet every day to remain sane is not joyfulness, isn't it? Definitely you're on the verge of breaking down every day because you made a small aspect of your life the whole of life. That's all. Life is just taking its toll, nothing else. So don't go that way. Everything has to play that much role in your life, that's all. If you try to make it the whole, it'll not work. Please spread it around, don't give it in one place.
Sadhguru, yesterday you were talking about we all came from nothing to nothing to something. Because there is something, nothing, something happened. And you are also talking about creative forces like creative force, maintenance force, and destructive force. And you gave a nice analogy of electron, proton, and neutron. And all these three forces you said, Brahma, Vishnu, Maheshwara. And when you connect these things, like quantum mechanics or whatever, it makes sense. Yes, this is true. It appears to be true. But when we hear the stories, this Shiva and somebody is sending something to do, and Shiva is practicing this yoga, and I'm lost because up to that part I'm okay. Yes, this makes sense. But what are all these stories?
It's history, it's not stories. See, because you have distorted the image of Shiva in your mind, you got a problem. He was just a yogi. In yoga, Shiva is not seen as a god. He is seen as the first yogi, Adi Yogi. Do you have one of the t-shirts, Adi Yogi? Nobody has? Please listen. Now, suppose, for example, just 60 years ago, Mahatma Gandhi was here. Mahatma Gandhi is a man, isn't it? But never before in the world, another country or another man has managed this, that they were managed to send the conquerors out of their country without killing them or threatening them or blowing them to bits or whatever. Just peaceful satyagraha. Have you ever heard of such a nonsense? Now I'm telling you, you are very close to history. So you believe because your father is telling the story. I'm telling you, after 1,000 years, if somebody tells the story of Mahatma Gandhi, it's all pure nonsense. Till now we are okay, but now you're talking such nonsense, we won't believe you, they will say. Yes or no? Already people don't believe. Do you know this? Just one generation has passed. Already a lot of people don't believe it. They think the whole thing was just nonsense. How can it happen like that? But it actually happened. Millions and millions of people have witnessed it with their eyes, isn't it? Even when they were beaten, when their skulls were cracked, they didn't hit back, they just stood there. People witnessed this, isn't it? Yes or no? Yes. But I'm telling you, after 500 years, 1,000 years, if you tell this story, nobody is going to believe it. I told you, this is a dialectical culture. People express everything in the form of stories, everything in the form of symbolism, because that's the nearest way they can bring you to understanding. Now, you're trying to dissect two things at the same time with the same knife. It doesn't work like that. It doesn't work like that. That is a different aspect. This is a different aspect. This needs to be seen and experienced one way. That needs to be seen and experienced in a different way. What is ultimate and what is immediate is very different. When you talk about the ultimate, it's a different dimension. When you talk about the immediate reality, it's a different dimension altogether. So if you don't know the distinction, it is not a question of confusion, it is just total misunderstanding of life. Just because you have a little intellect, you think it is capable of grasping everything? It is not so. Let me tell you a story. Now you think you're very logical. Let me tell you the predicament of the person who is known as the father of modern logic. Do you know who he is? Then what's the point of your logic? You know who is the father of modern logic? Aristotle, you know. Aristotle is known as the father of modern logic. His logic is just perfect. His logic is like this, you will like this. What's your name? Huh? Aristotle? Oh, you also carry Shiva's name. Aristotle's logic is like this. A can only be A. A cannot be B. B can only be B. B cannot be A. Did we go through this? No? Is it perfect logic, Jagadish? You agree? A can only be A. Can A be B? No. Can B be A? No. A can only be A. B can only be B. This is perfect logic. This is Aristotelian logic. Now you are sitting here. Are you a man or a woman? If you go by the logic, you can only be this or that, isn't it? But what is the reality of life? Both the dimensions are there within you. Just a question of percentages, isn't it? That's how life is operating. That's not how logic is operating. Anyway, let's look at Aristotle's life. Extremely logical man, intellectually brilliant, no question about that. But tried to stretch logic to all aspects of life. And in many ways he was a cripple. One thing is, Aristotle's body never developed to its normal size. He was abnormally thin. So because of this, he used to wear 3 dresses, one over the other, just to make himself look presentable. See, if you're abnormally thin and you don't care, that's different. But if a man has to wear 3 dresses, one on top of the other, that's not a good state of mind, isn't it so? Yes? That's not a good state of mind. This is how he was. One day, Aristotle was walking in the beach. A glorious sunset was happening. But Aristotle has no time for such petty things which happen every day. He's seriously thinking about some great problem of the existence. Because for a fool like Aristotle, existence is a problem, it's not a joy. And he believes he's going to solve it. So seriously thinking, he's walking up and down the beach. There's another man on the beach who is doing something very intensely. He is doing it so intensely that even Aristotle could not ignore him. You know, all these stupid people who can think a little bit, who are thinking too much about their own nonsense, they are people who ignore life around them. They are the people who don't have to smile at anybody in the world, they don't even have to look at everybody, they cannot go like this on the street, like they're practicing to go, for their funeral. Do you see such people? Because they think they're intellectual, they think they can ignore all the life around them. They have no eyes to look at a flower, they have no eyes to look at a sunset, they have no eyes to look at a child or a smiling face or even an unsmiling face to make it smile. They have no such small duties in the world, or small responsibilities in the world, or small cares in the world. They are all out there solving the problems of the existence. But you can't ignore this man because he's doing something so intensely. Then Aristotle noticed what he's doing. This man is going to the sea, ocean, coming back, going to the ocean, coming back, going to the ocean, coming back, in great intensity. So Aristotle stopped and asked, "Hey, what are you doing?" That man said, "Don't disturb me, I'm doing something very important." And went on and on. Then Aristotle became even more curious and asked, "What are you doing?" That man said, "Don't disturb me, something very important." He said, "What is this important thing?" Then he said, he had a little hole in the beach, and he said, "I'm emptying the ocean into this hole." And he has a tablespoon in his hands. Aristotle looked at this and laughed. A man like Aristotle cannot laugh on a daily basis, you know. They cannot laugh, isn't it? You meet them every day or no? Or you are them? How many of you spend a day, one whole 24 hours without even a little bit of laughter? Okay, don't raise your hands. Aristotle is a kind who can spend a year without a single moment of laughter because he's intellect, you know. It takes a heart to laugh. Intellect cannot laugh. It can only dissect everything. Aristotle laughed and said, "This is ridiculous. You must be insane. Do you know how vast this ocean is? How can you ever empty this ocean into this little hole? And that too with a tablespoon? At least if you have a bucket, some chance. Please give this up. This is madness, I'm telling you." That man looked at Aristotle, threw the spoon down and said, "My job is already finished." Said, what do you mean it's finished? Even the hole is not full. Forget about ocean being empty, even the hole is not full. How can you say your job is finished? That man was Heraclitus. Heraclitus stood up and said, "I am trying to empty this ocean into this hole with a tablespoon. You are telling me it's ridiculous, it's madness to give it up. What are you trying to do? Do you know how vast this existence is? It can contain 1 billion oceans like this and more. And you are trying to empty it into the small hole of your head with what? With tablespoons called thoughts. Please give it up. It's very ridiculous." Because if you want to know the experiential dimensions of life, you will never know it with your petty thought. I am calling your thought petty because it doesn't matter how you can think, it is still petty. You understand? If you have an Einstein's brain, it is still a petty thought. Because thought cannot be bigger than that. Thought can only be logical, functioning between two polarities. That's too small. If you want to know life in its immensity, you need something more than your thoughts, something more than your logic, something more than your intellect. Only if you open up that dimension, you will taste life in its larger proportion. Otherwise, you will know only the physicality of life. With thought, you will not penetrate anything other than the physical. You can know the physical. You can use the physical. Because the world has given so much significance to Aristotle and his tribe, all the sciences have developed in the physical dimension. With this, much comfort has come, much convenience has come. I know you're all too thrilled about what your computer can do, what your internet can do, but it's not done anything to your life if you really look at it. Yes? It's brought comfort and convenience. Greed, endless greed, but it has not brought any joy to you ultimately. It is not taken you to any higher dimension of experience or existence. You are in the same place. Instead of riding a bullock cart, maybe you're… where's that Mercedes man? Okay. Maybe you're driving a Mercedes or dreaming a Mercedes, whichever way. But still only moving from point A to point B, isn't it? You have not gone to another point. Whether you fly a jet plane or a bullock cart or this or that, only point A to point B. Only lateral movement, isn't it? Even if you take a spacecraft, still point A to point B. No new dimension has occurred to you, in spite of all this exploration, because the instruments of exploration that you're using are too limited, that's all. I appreciate the enthusiasm, but the instruments of exploration are just logical and intellectual, so there is no way you will touch any other dimension of life. It's not possible. It's like you're trying to go to the moon with a bullock cart. It doesn't matter how hard you beat the bulls, it's not going to get there. It's not going to get there. If you beat the bulls really hard, maybe we can climb the mountain on a bullock cart, but you can't go to the moon. Do you still believe you can? Try hard. Some more frustration has to happen before you open up the other possibility. Either you learn out of your intelligence, or life will maul you and teach you a lesson slowly. Choice is yours.
In our homes, and we have our own set ashrams as if to live our daily lives for all these years. We have come here for a wholesomeness. And when we go back, apart from carrying what you have taught us, you will also be entering into another ashram. What kind of modifications, especially regarding the rituals of our prayers and all these things we have been following for years, should be looked upon and modified if necessary? In what manner? Or we can concise into a certain smaller mantras or whatever it is other than this, or that is not necessary at all.
How can I tell you how to run the various other ashrams? I know how to run this one. How to run all the other ashrams in the world. So, about the rituals that you're doing, you've already been making it more and more compact. Your grandfather was doing puja for 2 hours, your father was doing it for 1 hour, you brought it down to 10 minutes, isn't it? Now, this is a genuine issue for a lot of people, in different scale maybe. You've been doing something and should I stop that? See, generally the family traditions, whatever you've been doing, is more as a tradition, not really as with an understanding of what it does to you. More because there's an emotional significance to it. Your father was doing puja to this photograph. You don't want to suddenly throw that away tomorrow morning. There's a certain emotion and family and stuff. You can keep them. Why you want to destroy all the culture in your house? Not necessary. But if it doesn't mean anything, there's no point continuing either. But if it emotionally means something, you can leave it there. There's no hassle about it. It's not going to harm you in any way, at least. It is just that it's better to invest time where you are doing things with more understanding and result-oriented sadhana rather than simply doing something. So generally all the mantras and preparation, one aspect of the mantra is it is being done for material well-being. People are doing various types of mantras to bring material well-being. What I would say is, when it comes to material well-being, it is better to equip yourself, to create that for yourself, rather than waiting for some other grace to descend upon you, because there isn't that much time in a lifetime. If you sit and from the age of 20, if you start praying and praying and praying to God that you must become rich, become rich, become rich, suppose it worked when you're 80. That's going to be an insult. At least if you die poor, it's okay. You didn't get the money when you need it. You didn't get the money to spend it. Now you're 80 and now it worked. And especially when you're 80, if you get too much money, everybody around you will wish you dead soon. Everybody will think, why this old bugger needs money, why doesn't he die? They may not express it, but people are thinking. In spite of themselves, many people feel guilty that they're thinking like this, but still they think, they can't help it. So their prayers may get answered. Yes. After all, their prayer also has power, isn't it? So… We'll come to that. So now, when it comes to material well-being, it's always best that you equip yourself to earn what you want, and it's no big deal, it can be done. If only if you equip yourself, if you don't clutter yourself with too much nonsense and greed in you, if you simply equip yourself, everybody can reasonably earn what they want, of course considering the social situations of that particular society. What is rich in one society and what is poor in another society is very different, isn't it? Yes? See, now the village that we went to, if a man earns 100 rupees a day, he feels quite rich. That's $2 per day. Do you understand? Not $2 per hour. You're earning what, $50 per hour? Even if you're just a laborer somewhere else? $2 per day, he feels quite great. If he earns $4, he's super rich. So what is poverty, what is wealth is very social, isn't it? Today, because of the communication levels, everybody is trying to become a billionaire, and which is anyway not sustainable, it can be a huge collapse for the whole world somewhere. That's different. Otherwise, always what is affluence and what is poverty is very, specific society, isn't it? Among those people. See, right now, one of the laborers bought a new bicycle today. His joy is untold, You won't have that joy even if you get the Mercedes, because there's somebody else driving a Maserati. So, what is… in terms of physical positions, what is rich and poor is a very relative thing, it's a social thing, it's not a… So within the norms of that society, earning what you want is not difficult if you just don't get too cluttered up in your head. Everybody can do it. It doesn't take any great intelligence to make money. Just need some perseverance and some doggedness to pursue something and make some money out of it. Because people are too screwed up in their heads, every little thing is so difficult for them. Otherwise, in that society, making some reasonable levels of well-being, material well-being, is not difficult to anybody with normal sense of intelligence. You don't have to be extraordinarily brilliant for that. In fact, brilliant people don't make much money because they're smart. Irene was asking about my travels. I said I travel everywhere in the world without even $1 in my pocket. I don't have a single dollar in my pocket. I go to any part of the world without any problem. And I've been having a credit card that somebody got me. In the last 6 years, I have not used it even once. It never occurred to me that I must get into credit, nor the requirement came. Always something will happen around me, So, isn't it very smart to live without money? That's the problem. That's what I said, they get cluttered. They got envy, they got jealousy, they got problems, what other people will think. Because of this, they cannot employ anything of themselves properly. That is the whole problem. Now when you have no sense of envy, no sense of jealousy, no sense of comparing yourself with somebody else, you will use everything that you have properly, and what has to happen around you will happen according to your capability, that's all. And everybody has enough capability to earn what is necessary for him. He doesn't have to go through big circus to do it. With reasonable circus, he can do it. You are investing your whole lifetime to make a living. What's the point? Yes? Most people are investing their whole lifetime just for their material well-being, isn't it so? Dying to live, this is called. You don't want answers, only questions? So, if it comes to material well-being, please just use your brains and your body, it'll happen. And the practices that you have started definitely will enhance your ability to use both your body and mind in a big way, in a very big way. I would say 25–30% of your time in a day if you spend, you must be able to earn sufficiently to live well. Rest of the time, you must focus on other dimensions of your life. That's how life should be. In 24 hours, if you work for 4 hours or 5 hours, you must earn enough money to live well, actually. There's no need to spend 18 hours just trying to earn money, If you're doing something else that you care to do, that's different. You work 24 hours a day. That's a different thing. So if it's money and material thing, not necessary to invoke gods, If you're doing it for your spiritual well-being, if you're worshipping gods for spiritual well-being, then you must understand it is only a preparatory step. It can never be the whole thing. Whatever gods you pray to for your spiritual well-being, it is only a preparatory step for you unless you're willing to walk the path of devotion 100%. Devotion is the quickest way to get there. But today, the way you have become, with the intellect being brought forth to this level, you cannot be a devotee. Isn't it, Anki? Huh? Let me come to this. The word devotion means dissolution. The word devotion comes from the root word dissolution. When we say a devotee has no agenda of his own. His only objective is to dissolve into his object of devotion. That's all. He is not thinking of living well. He is not thinking of becoming rich. He is not thinking of going to heaven. Let's say he's a devotee of Shiva, means he just wants to merge, he wants to die into Shiva. That's all he knows. Are you like that? No. For you, devotion is a currency. Devotion is a currency for easier life, isn't it? Look at the prayers in the world. 99% of the prayers are just about adu kudupa, idu kudupa, kapattupa. That means, give me this, give me that, save me, protect me. Isn't it so? This is not devotion, this is a deal. This is not devotion, you're trying to make a deal, a stupid deal. So, if you really want to become a devotee and you want to attain to the ultimate through devotion, then you have no agenda for yourself. You don't want life to go your way. You just want to merge with Him. That's all you have. If you are like that, devotion is the quickest way to realization. It's very quick. But today, with all your education and this questioning mind, devotion is out of question. Please look at it. Are you capable of becoming truly devout to somebody? Are you? No. So don't talk about it. I don't say there is no element of devotion at all in you. There is. It can serve some purposes, but it can't be your way to the ultimate. You understand what I'm saying? You can take small rides on it. Today you sit in the temple for 10 minutes and feel, Shiva, save me. And you get confidence to go through the next 24 hours. To that extent it works. But it cannot be your ultimate journey because your intellect is not willing to bend down to anybody totally. Unless you come to a certain level of experience where you naturally progress into your devotee. Here it happens, people come to the ashram as investigators, slowly they become students, then they become disciples, then they become devotees. That is a natural progression of life. As their experience becomes deeper and deeper, they have no option. They're too overwhelmed with what's happening here, then they can't help bowing down completely. Just bowing down, touching somebody's feet is not devotion. You're bending down because there's going to be a benefit. Yes, somebody has told you if you get blessings from somebody, some guru, things will happen well, your business will work well, your children will be healthy, something else will happen. So you bend down, it's okay, you get that also. To that extent devotion works for you, but not as an ultimate vehicle to take you beyond. So you have to use other things that you have. You are right now enjoying the circus of the intellect. You like it. If you think of something, you feel great. Yes? What you think of is nothing new because it's always there in nature. If you just had eyes to see, every damn thing that you discover has already been there, isn't it? Yes. Suppose you discover something today, you get very thrilled, isn't it? You spend your life, your whole lifetime just under that thrill. But what you don't understand is, whatever the great discovery that you have done, the very earth that you walk on knows it. What you call as, we call it mud, but in other countries, in America, they call it dirt. Dirt knows better than your brains. Yes or no? Everything that you know, the planet already knows, isn't it? Everything that you reinvent, the planet already knows. So there's no big deal about that, but you're thrilled with the circus of the intellect. So if you're thrilled with that, let's use the intellect. That's why we would have… if you are more of emotion than intellect, or if you are more of body than intellect, or if you're more of energy than intellect, we would have structured this program in a different way. Because you're more of intellect and less of other things, that is why so much talking is happening. If you were more energy, I would have just clapped and sat here and the rest would happen. I don't have to go on talking. But you like words. You like the circus of the intellect. So I'm putting you through the circus. A little better circus than you know, that's all. Yes or no? So, it's better you use the other faculties also now, because devotion is unavailable to you. Not because devotion is bad, devotion is the quickest way. It has always been and it always will be. But you have to remove yourself, you have to uproot yourself, only then it works. Otherwise it doesn't work. But today, because intellect has developed and a certain prominence and identification has come to the intellect, you can't brush it aside. Nobody can brush their intellect aside. Can you? Can you just brush your intellect aside and just surrender to me right now? You cannot do it. If you say that, you're big bullshit, I know that. I've seen too much life to know such things, believe such things, So, every other day people are coming, Sadhguru, I'm offering my life to you. Oh, okay. Let's wait till tomorrow morning. Every day somebody is offering their life to me, millions of people, but it's only a few who really manage that. They are different. All others, at that moment, when their emotions are on the upsurge, they really feel like it, they're not lying. But they don't know the limitations of who they are, that's all. But I know them very well. So devotion, as an ultimate vehicle for you, will not work in your present state of mind. It's not possible for you. You're too committed to your body and your intellect. You cannot drop them all of a sudden and become a devotee. So, whatever practices you do are basically devotion-oriented, isn't it? Devotion is good, it brings. Devotion as an act is vulgar. Devotion as a way of life is wonderful. So, if you go devotion, you have to see whether you have it or not in you, whether it's something that works for you. It doesn't work because you're thinking. Thinking people cannot be devout. So instead of that, it's better you develop little reverence to life around you. When you have this mind, don't talk devotion. If you come to such a point that the experience of life or somebody's presence has so overwhelmed you that your mind is just sank into the background. What you think and what you feel is no more important. Somebody else has become much more important for you. Then devotion is a possibility. You must know how to fall in love, otherwise devotion is not possible. You must understand the English expression, falling in love is very significant. Because you can't stand in love. You can't climb in love, you can't fly in love, you have to fall in love. That means who you are should fall, only then it'll happen. So if you're a lover, a true lover, that means you are not important. What happens to you is not important. Only then devotion is a possibility. Then it's a very quick path. It's the quickest.
You are my perfect mirror, you show me what I'm not. In the endless pit of what once was me, layer and layer you peel off me. The pain it is, but the joy it brings. So thank you for showing me what I'm not, for showing me what I could be.